Oh, there we go. Oh shit! Hold on, let me get.
I've been so invested in this Ukraine-Russia situation.
I mean, I
I've
pretty
been
much have it on my.
following it so closely. It's like been crazy. It's just crazy to
I have it on
think
my
that.
second monitor pretty much all day long. Like
Yeah,
the live webcams from the Capitol, the news stations,
it
everything.
just blows my mind that this dude is willing to do that, knowing the whole world is against you. Like, imagine the balls that takes. Like, how stupid does one guy? The whole
Just
world
to not
is,
give
except for like North Korea
in
and like I
China.
think there was, yeah, and like China. Like, the world is against you, and I'm sure the citizens of China would be against it.
Right.
You know, from a
Right.
political standpoint, no, but
Like even though it's like, did you see the video where Putin was talking about the nukes and like you saw like even his like commanding general, like his face was like, okay, like, all right, like if you say so, like okay, bud.
somebody on the inside needs to do something
I
about
think that's
this.
what's gonna happen. I mean, there, and I mean we can talk a little bit on the show, but I was telling my mom before it all started, I was interested to see how a war like this plays out. Like not us against the Taliban or whatever, because it was just different. Like we didn't have a
Two
government,
world powers,
right?
like
We're just like modern,
that's
modern.
exactly why nobody's getting involved from a military other than providing weaponry.
Yeah. Well,
Nobody
because
is like physically sending their troops
if
in because
NATO
they
gets
know
involved, then
like
right,
not only is it's World War III.
right. Well, then that's why Russia hasn't attacked a NATO country
Yeah.
because they know if they get involved, it gives every other country an excuse to get involved, and yeah. But it's I said it's interesting to see how it's going to play out, and we're seeing it now, where it's like the war now is fought like through the economy, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, yeah, there's boots on the grounds and everything there, and it's terrible, but it's like it's also like the entire other
They're not
factor
gonna
of
have the money to do this for a
right.
long time.
Like this isn't like the 40s where countries were more secluded within their own border. It's like no, you're relying on a lot of different pieces nowadays.
Yeah.
And it's like when you start realizing how many websites, I mean, hell, even like we'll talk about it on the show, but like even like Twitch banning Russian streams or whatever, you know, it's like
Pornhub, how devastating.
that's huge. Like what do you do now at night? Nothing.
Like,
It's like you're in
can
lockdown
you
because of a
imagine you're
war
like
and you
getting ready
can't.
for your fucking wank or whatever they would say, you know, like you go to Pornhub and it's like, oh my god, this is down.
That's right. You're getting locked in because there's a war going on and you can't look at porn and you can't go to Twitch. Like what's the point of the internet at that point?
Yeah.
Like what other websites are there? I don't know. I'm out of ideas. All right, let's get this show on the road. Hello, what is up? Welcome to episode 374 of the Center Ring Esports podcast, presented by Philly Esports. And this is going to be the best episode ever because we have a lot of catching up to do as we took last week off. We have the Katowice Recap, a lot to discuss in Counter-Strike as we had our first, I think, like our real big LAN major-esque event, at least this year. So we'll discuss that. And of course, the news that cannot be ignored, the war in Ukraine and Russia. So we'll sprinkle that in, how it affects esports, what's going on around the world, and our thoughts and opinions there. No spoilers. I think Anuj said he's pro-Russia in the pre-show meeting. But
that's what the colors would stand for behind me.
Maybe.
Was that not red and blue? I thought it was colorblind.
he'll let us know. So that is on this episode. But before we get to any of that, Philly Esports. You go to phillyesports.gg and you will find yourself at any given moment tournaments posted for online events. Upcoming April 9th is their singles smash tournament. Also my mom's birthday. So go ahead and sign up, dedicate it to my mom. When you win, you will have the self gratification knowing that you made my mom happy, like I never could. So do that. PhillyEsports.gg.
Hey, it's Simple from Navi, and you're listening TCR.
Okay, so let's start.
Hello, everybody. Hello, and welcome. Welcome back to another edition of The Center Ring, aka TCR, aka your favorite esports podcast. This is episode 374, coming to you live and or pre-recorded from an undisclosed location. The date, February 28th, 2022. The time, 9:12 p.m. Central Time. Go ahead and follow us on Twitter at The Center Ring. Join our Discord, be a part of the conversation there, and do whatever you must to make sure we live on into perpetuity. My name is Tim. I'll be your captain for this journey into esports, and alongside me, as always, is my best friend, my brown friend. It's Anuj. What's up?
Counter-Strike. That's
Lots
the statement.
of it.
That's it. Isn't that the popular thing to do on the tweet? Like you just write Counter-Strike?
Is that what the kids are doing nowadays?
Yeah, it's like the thing. Like Counter-Strike even did it.
I shouldn't say this as a member of the content, quote unquote, content creating business, if that's what you want to call us. I am really not getting on social media a lot lately. And it has nothing to do with like the war or whatever. I just don't. I'm finding myself getting older. And as I get older, the more just annoyed I get with all the little trends.
I'm a big Twitter guy. I'm on Twitter a decent amount.
Twitter is like really how I get my news. So like I will poke in on that and stuff, but even just like, you know.
Facebook and Instagram I surprisingly don't use at all. Like Instagram I will, if we go on the occasional like family vacation, post some stuff on there.
Like I posted for the first time on Instagram.
Like you look at like my posts, they're like a year in between, you know. It's
I get on Instagram.
I don't use them a lot.
There's certain things I follow on Instagram that are good, like the comic book shop I go to, they have an Instagram. So they'll post when they get stuff. That's literally the only reason I use my Instagram is to look at a comic book shop's Instagram. That's it. But I don't have, like, God bless any social media manager out there where your job is to just be on all of this all the time, because I don't have
It's a lot.
I don't have the heart for it. I don't. All the little trends, all of it, I can't stomach it. So I don't find myself on social media as much nowadays. Like I said, unless it's like an event going on, like for Katowice, like I'm on to see what's going on during that event. But just the casual browser, I've found myself, I put my phone down and look around the world, you know?
Did you see Wordle's? This is a spoiler for anyone that's listening, so mute yourself.
It's 9 o'clock right now.
Yeah, like so if you don't want to know it in the next 3 hours.
If you haven't done Wordle today yet, you're probably not doing it.
Did you see the joke that was going on? Wordle's word of the day.
I did
choke.
Yes, I did see Launders put out a funny tweet to G2 saying like, don't tell G2 the word or something like that. Like don't play Wordle today.
Great.
I did enjoy. Hey, look,
it's funny. So he didn't post the answer. I just saw that tweet and I went and did it. And then I showed my wife. I was like, wow, look at this. First word.
I got it. Man, I'm a genius. Yeah, no, I'm a Wordle guy. I like Wordle. Though I will say, for all you Wordle people out there who try to gloat about getting on like the first, second, or third try.
If you're posting your Wordle score, I look at you a little different.
I'll
do it from time to time. I don't do it every day.
No, like if it's like crazy, right? Like the one time I got nothing and then all of it the second time, because I always use like the same first two words, but it's all a guessing game. It means nothing. Yeah. So like for people who are like, oh, yeah, you got it on the fifth try, like my brothers, like, okay.
See, I always felt like the strategy, I think of it like how we play a battle royale. The strategy is just to win.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if
I don't care if like sometimes Kelly will her approach is to try and always guess the word based on the information she has. Mine is most of the time to eliminate other letters
Yep.
or see if I can get like some greens or yellows in there to fill in some blanks for me to allow me to then guess the word. So I think your approach can go either way and it's not flawed. It's just my goal is to get the word and the number of guesses that I have, not to like do it on word number 2.
I'm just waiting for the first like Wordle tournament. Like maybe it's like a speed, like how can you get it faster in the 6 tries? You know it's
You might
happening.
want to stop talking and possibly pitch this yourself.
Yeah,
This
like
could be a
sponsors.
great
You know,
idea.
anyone listening right now, okay, if you host events, Wordle tournament, make it happen. Because it's they do
I would
Scrabble.
be kind of entertained.
They do
I'm not gonna lie.
yeah, like just a bunch of nerds sitting there trying to like speed run Wordle like back to back to back to back, you know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
and just battle royales. Did you see there is a battle royale game out there? I saw Lyric play it one time on Twitch where it is like Scrabble battle royale. Have you seen this?
No.
So it's like
Is it actual Scrabble?
I mean, I don't think it's like licensed Scrabble, you know.
Okay. But
So-
like a Scrabble type game.
Like Scrabble battle no, see it's not. Is it Scramble? I guess it is Scrabble battle royale. I don't Google that and you'll find it. But yeah, that's what it is. It's like you're guessing words on other people's words, and that's how you eliminate them and stuff. So, if you're a word guy, me, I'm not. Like Wordle is my capped, like 5 letters is my capped dictionary.
You're already could be pushing it in certain circumstances.
yeah,
right? My vocabulary could definitely use some work after playing a game like that.
Unless it's a 4-letter word that starts with F, I really like outside of that, I don't really say a whole lot. So I, you
I
know,
always think to myself, man, I will really only think of like basic ass words, you know,
I
like
really do.
oh, it's like that's when I start to realize, okay, probably do a little bit more
Maybe I
reading.
should
That
pick
might
up
be
a,
good.
a dictionary here sometime soon. So,
Couple
no.
encyclopedias, send them over to the house. Where are those sales
I was
people
gonna have to
at?
say, like, do people still get encyclopedias?
I don't know. Like they used to remember they used to come door to door try to sell you like the editions and stuff.
I just remember in school.
Do phone books still get delivered? I have in my house. I've never had one delivered here in this home.
I don't think so.
Those were kind of cool too back in the day.
Phone books and encyclopedias and dictionaries, I would even say, went away as the dodo bird. So I can't
Good old
imagine.
internet. The interwebs.
Can't imagine. Russia will probably be using encyclopedias and dictionaries soon because they probably won't have an
Shit,
internet
you're
here.
Not wrong.
If things,
Might not be wrong.
if things keep up, they're going to need those hard copies here sooner or later. So let's, on that note, kind of kick it over to the show because we didn't do a show last week. I was out of town, went to Colorado, see my new baby nephew, hang out with the family a little bit. So went to Colorado Springs for the first time.
But
Lovely,
the real reason is you wanted to play Lost Ark.
lovely place. And I actually didn't get to play Lost Ark.
No, on Monday.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, that was partially. It was just kind of like I'm spent. I'm burnt out. I haven't watched a second of esports, anyways. So let's just take the week off, play some games. Cause
Colorado Springs though was nice.
it was nice. It was nice. It was cold, my type of weather. You know,
Get some snow.
no snow when we were there. When we were there, it was like nice 50 degrees. Like the
Okay.
day after we left, it was like 8 degrees and snow. So we got out just in time. Oddly enough, got ice when we came back to Texas. None in Colorado, but it was good. Good catching up with the family, seeing the baby, and all that fun stuff, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
You'd be disappointed, but not surprised knowing that I went to Colorado and did not have any of the devil's lettuce.
You know, I knew not to even ask.
Yeah, like,
I knew. Like if I was going to Colorado, you wouldn't have to ask. If you were going to Colorado, I don't have to ask either.
Yeah, it's
you know,
just-
for different reasons. We
it's-
both know.
just not my bag. And there was plenty
Yeah,
of dispensaries there and everything, and it is still
Oh, I'm sure.
still jarring when you like are walking down the street and you just get a whiff of it and you're like, oh yeah, that's right. We're in a place where you can do that. So always a culture shock. But no, Colorado Springs, a lovely area. There's that. I don't know. Shout out if you're in the Springs, as the locals call it. So that's why we didn't do a show last week though. So we have plenty to talk about here. Plenty of yikes of the week, in fact. doubled up more than normal. So, Anuj, did you want to go ahead and do the honors of taking the first one?
I do. This is weird because like it's such a dumb comment, but there's this Tekken Pro on stream. He's
She's.
you know she's just talking about. I mean, just like you're chatting with your stream, right? In this case, started getting a little like hateful in their wording and probably took it a little too far, I would say, obviously, but like it just depends on the context, right? I haven't watched like the full stream, right? I see this 10-15 second clip and you get an idea of what was said in that instance, but I also think it's important to probably go back and like understand context around some of this stuff. But what they said was also like you just don't say it, like a little dumb. So they talked about guys under 5'6"
Give or take.
have
It's like
yeah
67 inches or what, you know.
have no human rights. And they threw that out there. Weird statement to make. Like you could have said so many other things about short people, right? But to like say you have no human rights, okay. Org turns around Tim and kicks them from the org for the statements. And I can't say like I disagree with what they did because it's like that the type of person you like if they don't have the understanding whether they're saying it as a joke or not, but I feel like if you don't have the mental capacity to understand, even if I'm jokingly thinking this, that's a conversation maybe with the boys, not with the stream, right?
Right.
Like
Right.
even if you're trying to say something as a joke, you understand the difference between inappropriate with your friends, close friends, and inappropriate in a public setting, you know?
Mhm.
My wife always tells me I would not survive, like just based on some of the stupid stuff I would say. She
Oh
would
yeah,
say,
no,
"Do you say this stuff in front of
we are
people?"
an
Like, no.
HR nightmare.
Yeah,
If
yeah, like
you I mean, yeah, no, it's just it's just how it is when you're hanging out with the buddies, right? Men or women, it's you get a little bit more loose tongue, right? You can get away with a
yeah.
short joke when you're a professional. And she did go on to say like more stuff, like it wasn't
Yeah.
just this. I read some of the comments; they were pretty nasty in the sense of like it wasn't just a simple short joke.
I
So
couldn't tell. That's the thing that I couldn't tell how serious. Like I was like, "Do you genuinely believe this, or are you just being an idiot
I
right
think
now?"
she
Like I
was.
couldn't.
I
Do
think
you
she
think
was
she like genuinely believes people under 5'6" have no human rights?
I think she was genuinely meaning what she was saying because I'm sure she was getting a response in the chat that like was kind of egging
But
her
like
on.
taking it to the abyss, right? Like maybe she's thinking in her head, I don't think people under 5'6" are dateable. Okay,
Right.
maybe, but she's like, they have no human rights. Like I don't
Right.
know. Like I just
That's
how stupid are you to actually are you believing what you're saying or is this a joke? I really couldn't tell because they're so out there.
I have one here. This is coming from Valorant with Crew Esports. Everyone's darling team. Like they were like everyone's team favorite in the what was it? The champs. Well, Anuj, we'll see how they go here. Now, I haven't seen a follow-up on this story. I have to imagine it's been resolved and everything's okay. However, for a short while, maybe still, I don't know. Like I said, I can't find a follow-up. They were banned from the pros Discord that they use to schedule scrims because they broke a rule, which, go figure, discriminatory comments. So they were banned from the professionals Discord servers that they use to like communicate in the pro network to set up scrims and practice times.
Did it ever come out on what they said?
The article that I saw, no. Now, again, this happened while I was out of town, so I was just kind of headline skimming, if we can be perfectly honest, in this safe place. So I don't know, but
Like this seems like
they got to be back, though. Like, there's no way that
like
they're...
how long could that last for? Because that
Right.
would be, I mean, devastating for them, right? Like again, think of this is not a great analogy, but like cutting off Russia from all of these world programs, right? Whether it's banking or whatever. This is like cutting off their lifeline within Pro League, right? Like it's so important to be able to scrim against top tier teams. So to get kicked out of that and you're not allowed to schedule practices with them is like a major like that's a pretty big blow. So I'm really curious as to what they said. Maybe we'll do a follow-up on this and go figure out what they said.
And like I said, yeah, I'm sure it's out there, and I'm sure they're back in the server. I can't find the follow-up on it, but I'm sure it's got to be resolved. My other yikes of the week is coming from 343 Studio, the guys behind Halo, of course. So every once in a while, look, this war, it's affecting everyone in different ways. And I don't judge how anyone tries to handle it, whatever. It's new to a lot of people, and I get that. However, Anuj, when you're over here in the States, I can also kind of relate that it's not affecting us in a way that should be like affecting our day-to-day life and how we handle our job, our business. It
can be affecting your mental for sure.
Mental, right? Correct. However, the 343 community support coordinator maybe went one step too far on this. As Halo 5, and I believe even the Master Chief Collection, it's been having a rough go as of late. Servers kept crashing, being down for a little bit. It was even like Halo Wars 2, I think, is specifically where this tweet was relating. So you had a normal fan saying, hey, tagging, the community managers and the team saying, guys, what's going on? The servers have been unplayable all day. Like, I can't even get in the game. What's going on? So the community manager, like the one guy who should always have a smile on his face and not let personal problems bleed over onto Twitter, right? Like, your job is to filter out this shit and always just be professional on Twitter, especially when it comes to
a simple, we're working on it and hope to have it up as soon as possible. Yeah. We'll update you soon. Like the typical status quo comment that would have been great.
This fan says, hey, what's going on? They've been down. The community manager goes, hey, my friend, I wasn't aware this was down as I was paying attention to Russia bombing a country of innocent people and going through the emotional response of being a father and thinking of my son growing up in a world of war. I will be following up now on this. Very tongue-in-cheek. He later did come and apologize and said, sorry, I hopped on Twitter, saw that, and just did my instant reaction to this guy's tweet. What, bro? No, your boss called you, said, you want to step back on that one and do it again, and that's what happened. Again, I get it. The war, it's going on. It's bad. We're going to talk about it here in just a moment. I got kids. You got kids.
I mean, for us, we're fortunate to be able to just live our normal day to day, right? Like, it's not.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
it's not like my job is like, hey, let's take a couple days off to follow the news.
If I had a bad day today at work and my boss was like, Tim, what's going on? And I was like, oh, I'm sorry. Did you not hear of the war going on? Did you not think of my children in Dallas, Texas, as the war is going on in Ukraine? They would be like,
that's not a good excuse for you, bro.
Right.
That's not going to work right now.
Do you have family members there? Is there some personal connection?
If there's some personal connection to it, sure. Again, it can be affecting your mental, but you're still required.
But as the community manager, it was a yikes for me.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. Last one here, Tim. Little catch up. So, Loot Boy Void, you're all familiar with him.
Of course. The Fortnite professional.
The Fortnite god, Void FN. He had a nice little tweet for his parents here, but he said, if you have supportive parents, don't take it for granted. So shit having a demotivating and unsupportive dad. And I was like, see that tweet, and I'm like, damn, that sucks. His parents are not supporting him, and he's like, I was like, damn, he's actually good. It's not even like he's wants to be a pro. He's genuinely in the pro circuit and stuff. So I was like, that kind of sucks to see. Well, 15 minutes later, his mom replied on the tweet, and I quote, and I really quote, okay, guys, it's not the language we use on this show, so I'm throwing it out there. Calling your parents effing cunts is not acceptable because they say you can't stay up until 3 a.m. on a school night. That's not being unsupported. That's called being a parent. And then she replies to that a couple minutes later, and now I'm blocked. Period. I gotta say, first of all, 100% agree with Mama Void over here.
Of
Okay, like
course.
that is
As a parent, we have to.
as a gamer and a parent. I'll tell you that shit's not gonna fly in my house. The first, like staying up till 3 a.m. on a school night to play video games,
No.
right? Like that's a no go.
And as
Second
someone
thing,
who did stay up till 3 a.m. on school nights, it's just not worth it. It's not fun the next day.
second thing is like I grew up in a household where you didn't talk back to your parents, and if you did, you damn sure did it respectfully, right? So calling your parents, you know, effing blah blah blahs and this and that, like that to me lets me know the type of person that he is. And I'm gonna 100% trust his mom on this. Okay, that she is not over exaggerating. This is not a friend talking or a girlfriend replying here. Like this is coming from his mom. She would have no, considering her name on Twitter is Mama Void. I'm going to assume they are somewhat supportive parents. Okay.
Right.
Like
Right.
your mom's tag on a social media channel that parents generally don't use is Mama Void. So he looks like a complete tool bag to me, and it's not only a yikes, but but definitely in tool status as well.
Definitely needs to be in timeout.
Gotta get
That's
put in check.
get your Xbox taken away from you type of mentality. I'm so glad social media was not around when we were at that age. Not saying that I would have done anything like it, but just the dumb things that, a 16, 17-year-old would tweet.
Yeah, I mean, even looking at my Facebook from
Oh, I
15
delete some
years
things.
ago,
I delete some
it's
things.
it's like
When the
oh,
memory
man.
comes up and I made some stupid joke that, not inappropriate, but just super dumb. Like
yeah.
something that...
I used to I used to write stuff on my Facebook that like it would say your name at the top, Anuj Bajaj,
You're
like
right.
your Facebook name. And then I would have like it would follow it up with the rest of like Anuj Bajaj is doing blah
Yeah,
blah blah.
that's how Facebook
And
used to be, kids.
yeah, that's really what it was. I was like, I see some of this stuff pop up and I'm like, wow, there's like some stupid ass things that I just threw out there. Like, why did I even message that?
Now
I
this...
was obviously trying to get somebody in particular's attention by saying
Of
these
course.
things at that
Now
time.
this poor kid in 20 years will look back and be like, did I really just try to call my parents out for not letting me play video games till 3 a.m. on a school night? Like,
And
what?
then like calling them like vulgar language, like stuff that just
Like, did my mom just yell at me on social media in front of all of my friends and followers? Like, yikes.
I didn't cuss in front of my parents until I was like in my 20s.
Yeah, that I was probably right around then.
Yeah, like there was like definitely a comfort point where I maybe dropped a word.
And even now, it's like I'm not like...
I'm not gonna say like effing, like I mean I just or if it happened, it would be like very spur.
For me
like,
too, it was one of those ignorant things, and I'm sure you were the same, where it's like you're playing video games. Now I know that they heard every word I said.
Yeah.
Like, because even then, like, our game room was above their bedroom. So
Yeah.
They heard everything. But it's like, when I walk downstairs and stuff, it's like I'd still act like this perfect church choir boy.
Perfect little
And it's
angel
just
kid.
like, oh, yes, I don't use that language. But, like, my parents are probably like, yeah, dude, we heard you say every word in the book just now.
I can like never cuss at my parents. That just feels so weird to like cuss in front of them versus cussing at them, or like two
things would
totally
have to
different
be
things.
have gone horribly wrong.
Horribly wrong.
Like, really, something happened. So there's that. Some good dudes of the week, and we'll just run through them. If you got a Steam Deck and you live in the Seattle area, check your Ring camera, because there's a good chance Gaben was the one delivering it. The funny story behind this was the dude who was having it delivered was not home. He was out with the boys skiing. What a 1% problem. And his wife answered the door and talked to Gaben, and they had like just the most pleasant, innocent conversation. And she was like, "Who are you? Like, why
do you have a camera?
Why is the UPS guy talking to me right now about my husband? I don't understand." Rookie move, by the way. Rookie on this dude's part. If you know, and because you're probably looking at the shipping every day.
Hour. Yeah.
If the Steam Deck is on its way, I'm canceling the ski trip and I'm staying at home waiting for that.
Like Gaben probably thought that also.
Like,
oh, if somebody's a day one order of our like new console,
Yeah. Like that's
they're
a
probably
rookie
at home.
move. Like you don't let your wife get that. You wait at home for it. Rookie mistake.
Saw a funny tweet. Gaben will go hand deliver Steam decks, but still won't go to a Counter-Strike major.
It's funny because it's true.
It's sad
funny.
because it's true.
It's funny because it's true. Valorant Good Dude of the Week comes from the 13-year-old producer that got made fun of. Because if you looked, it was at one of the Knights tournaments. You know, they run their own tournaments now. Well, they obviously are, you know, just taking anyone and anyone a warm body to help run their events. Well, one kid was a 13-year-old producer. Technical issues happened. You could hear, and I mean, as someone who's worked live events before and in the producing chair, I can almost tell you exactly what happened, right? Like even watching the show, we sometimes have audio technical issues and whatever. So you could hear him, but you couldn't hear the streamers. And it was probably just something simple as like, they just unmuted his mic and muted the others. Like it's probably something simple as that, but everyone was giving him crap for it. For being a 13-year-old kid, he came in, gave a very professional response saying like, hey, I'm still learning. I appreciate all the kind words, blah, 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 blah. So more of the story is don't shit on new people trying to learn a new skill and working on it. Don't shit on a 13-year-old and keep on keeping on because he's doing it.
It's like impressive that he was even doing it to begin with.
Right.
That's pretty cool.
I mean, here I am, 31 years old with almost over a decade of experience, and I still can't get a job back into radio and producing. So
sometimes we don't hit record for the show. Sometimes we don't hit record for an interview.
Sometimes we do entire interviews and then say, oh, oops, wasn't recording that. So it happens. It happens to the best of us. Last good dude of the week, which will transition us into Counter-Strike, comes from Simple, as he announced that he is donating $30,000 of his own hard-earned money to
He didn't even announce it. Like, it was just seen in the donations.
Oh, really?
So
well, there you go.
It's not even like he came out and was like, I'm doing this, So I think
So
people
Simple
saw that he did it.
Donates $30,000 to Ukraine, obviously for their efforts in the war, whether that goes to weapons, first aid, whatever, I have no idea, but he just donated $30,000 to the cause. So extremely good dude on him, and we can just transition that into Katowice and the discussion, because what an incredible event for Counter-Strike that I feel like there's always been times in esports and in CS specifically where I feel like we all kind of grow up a little bit, right? I think at one point in time it was like the Me Too movement, then it was like the Black Lives Matter movement, and you kind of just see these professionals and the fans just kind of wear a different hat, if you will, right? Like the memes kind of take a break and we kind of get a little bit serious and just use the platform for what it should be used for. And this was one of them where it's like you have Katowice, which is like the biggest major, non-major event of the year, right? For those who don't know, and we know we have people who aren't Counter-Strike followers, some people in Discord were asking this weekend, is Katowice a major? Yes and no. It used to always be a major, now it's not. So it's still held in that regard as
any Counter-Strike fan will tell you that Katowice at its core is a major event.
Yeah.
Right? It might not hold the major title,
but it is a
major event. So like you think of any other big sport out there, it's like a golf or a tennis, right? Not everything is considered a major, but there are iconic places that you play at, and Katowice is the creme de la creme, right? Cologne being another one, you'll probably
those are I'd say, like in Counter-Strike specifically, Katowice and Cologne are kind of the ones who've outlasted everything. I mean, it's just those are the two events that will be there every year in the same city, same venue,
best teams.
Yeah,
like it'll always just be regarded as a premier major type event, and that's why Tim and I have talked about it on the show. We also believe that Katowice doesn't need to be a major because it is such an iconic event in its own that you could boost up another tournament and get that revenue and that viewership and that interest in your game and still have Katowice doing it.
Which we saw because Katowice broke the viewership record for most watched for a major event. Like for
Yeah.
a non quote unquote major in CS. It's
Really,
broke the
almost
record.
1.2 million. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
So, that speaks for everything right there, right? It's just it is a major non-major, as I like to call it. So we had that wrap up this weekend. Incredible event, not only for, like I said, from the fan experience, from the teams, the performance behind it. Let's start off just talking about Na'Vi, and then we can talk about other teams and everything. But I want to talk about Na'Vi, obviously, because they were kind of the central talking point heading into the weekend. Because, obviously, newsflash, Russia's at war with Ukraine. Na'Vi, a Ukraine org with both Ukrainians? Ukrainians? That's the word, right? That's what they're called?
And Simple are both from Ukraine, and then the other three, I believe, are all from Russia.
Russia, right. And you also have, like, Gambit, Russian team, right?
Virtus Pro.
Virtus Pro has Russians. Monase, Russian, right? You have, it's just, Counter-Strike is, and we obviously, it's not breaking news. It's like, it's very European, but I guess you just don't realize how, for Ukraine being such a small country, how much it holds its roots into Counter-Strike, right? Like, the best team in the world is Ukraine. The best player in the world is from Ukraine, right? They are playing in Poland, which is right next to all of this going down, right? And news is saying, like, hey, if Russia takes over Ukraine, Poland might be the next that they target because, Poland used to be part of Russia. It was called Prussia. So if Putin's plan is to bring back the former Soviet Union, then he might go to Poland next. So throughout all the tournament, right, you have the normal pressure of Counter-Strike and performing. Now you have, for guys like Simple or these players, okay, now I have family back at home. My teammates' family could be fighting my family, right? We're at war just like that. And you could be at any moment also thrown into the middle of it. So it's just like the mental pressure. Like, I could never even imagine, like, even, we talked about it before the show, like being in the United States. Yeah, you and I have been alive while we have been at war, right? With 9/11 and, all that. We have been alive while the U.S. has been at war. But
not on our home turf.
Right. I can confidently say that I have never once felt this, like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen to us because of this war? It's felt so disconnected from it because it wasn't here.
It's like different when you're a country that's not considered a superpower, right? And
even then, like, if Canada decides to go at war with us and was invading our borders, it would still feel a little like the fact that there was just never any fighting here. You hardly forget that you were even at war, Yeah.
No, it's totally different for what they're going through, and it's interesting to me because Simple also spoke at the event about it. Prior to one of the matches, and I gotta commend him because Simple, for those of you that don't know or maybe haven't followed Counter-Strike that closely or that long, Simple was kind of like this problem child in the scene, right? In his early days playing for Hellraisers and being able to stick out. He was just considered like this problem child and kid with an attitude, hard to get along with, but very talented, right? And then he had that transition to Liquid, and you saw him maturing a little bit, having to leave home and grow, and then back over to Na'Vi where he's at now. And I gotta say, like, he's earned my respect. He's earned it a long time ago, and not that he cares, but he's just such a well-rounded professional now, and really an amazing face for the game, right? Because he's just everything you kind of want the face of your game to be. And when he went up and spoke, it was impressive, and you knew it was just sitting on the back of their mind, and that they could never really just, I think, fully engage themselves in this event. Like, that's just always
right.
I would feel like that's always just in the back of your mind at all times.
And there was even talks like that too. Like, we were streaming the night before the match And then even like in our Discord, people were talking about it, saying like, man, do you think Navi is going to be thinking about it? Like, what do you think? And you and I both said like, how can you not? Like, how could you not think about it if you were, first off, like, again, any of these players, but specifically Simple's case where, he's got family in Ukraine. He was tweeting about his town where he's from is getting bombed, right? Like, he's getting messages from people where it's getting bombed and things like that. Like, how can you not? The fact that he was able to go in and still perform at a level that he did is impressive in itself. And I just, it sucks because it just had to be during Katowice, and like we said, one of the bigger events of the year. But yeah, I don't see how it can't affect them.
It would have been like everybody was rooting for them. Like it would have been lovely to see them win, but it did feel like a little bit of a long shot just because everything was kind of stacked up against them. I feel like you just got to be so fully engaged nowadays with the level of competition in Counter-Strike that if you're not all in, it's tough to pull out a tournament like this win. And so you feel for them, but you definitely give them a pass, in this event. And so I don't feel there's anything to worry about Navi long term because they didn't make it to the finals in Katowice. I'm more impressed that they made it to the semifinals. So I think that's just on pure skill, right? They were able to make a semifinals of an event this size.
Yeah, I mean, even if you're just talking performance-wise, like they lost to G2, which for a little bit there looked like a team on a Destiny run, right? So,
and that match was incredible. Like, I wish all the stuff wasn't surrounding it because, like, you had all these incredible storylines just for that match alone, right? The rematch of the major, but the rebirth of G2 and Monase going versus Simple, the Prodigy versus the Protege. And so it's like it just all this stuff lined up for this to be such an amazing match. And it was. It really was. But obviously it just didn't feel the same. But G2 played incredible.
I'll say one last thing too, with just on the branch of the war going on, is I saw some people saying how, and everyone's doing their own sanctions, and F1 pulled out of Russia, and rightfully so, and all that. I get it. But then I saw some tweets saying like, oh, they need to pull the Russian orgs and the Russian players from these events. They shouldn't be allowed to play. And everyone can have their own opinion on this situation. To me, I don't think Putin is going to be like, oh shit, Monase can't play in the Katowice finals? Well, guys, pump the brakes, bring it on home. Like, hold on, I wasn't expecting this card to be played. I don't think, like,
I also would like to believe that, like, most Russian citizens don't want this war to happen.
I mean, most Russian soldiers are seeming like they don't want it to happen. So
right, exactly. So it's like I understand the punishment at the higher levels, like FIFA announcing it, right? FIFA is not letting, and that's to me is huge, right? Like, that is actually like very big.
The top things I get, if it's held in Russia, I get, but it's like for these players that like 16, 17, 18 years old.
What are you going to tell 3 people from Navi that you're not playing in the next event because you're right? Like, that seems wrong to do them dirty, right? Like, I think you should try and attack
this is much
the
like
government. Affect the economy, like those types of things matter,
right?
In what we're doing,
much like how we can separate the Nazis from Germany, you got to separate Putin from Russia at this point.
Yeah,
like at this point in the game, that's what it's turned into. So, and I thought in Simple speech it was beautiful how he did mention like like, hey, we're a team, like we're friends,
like we're brothers. That's, I guess what he called them, like we're brothers, and so
we're just gonna go play some Counter-Strike.
It's a beautiful thing to see because this is actually more uniting in that way, right? Like, it just shows what the world should be like looking at a team sport, whether it's Counter-Strike or football or whatever. That's what it should be like. These international teams bringing everybody together, and in a time like this, I think it's important to have that and not try to isolate individuals in that way.
No, leave that for like people who don't use comms or something in matchmaking. Like those are the people you isolate, not your teammates, not a 16-year-old Russian from a tournament. Like that, it's just, you're not getting anywhere by trying to do that. So just thought it was a little silly, but again, that's just me. I know some people think otherwise, but I just don't, like you were saying, I haven't heard, unless it's just some troll online being a jackass about it, I have not heard like one Russian or one person being like, I support Putin in this one. Like, it's just across the board. It's
the world is against him.
Like 1,000%.
The world is literally against you as an individual. That was like stupid.
And he's still.
Do you want to talk about anything other than this finals? Like, I feel like it was just so awesome, but I want to know, like, are there parts of the event that you would want to discuss, or teams that you would do? Like, do we want to talk about teams? Do we care to talk about teams right now, or do we just want to like kind of jump in?
I feel like just jump into the finals, because the finals itself, despite the score being 3-0, which would make you think that it was a blowout, it was so long. It was everything that was perfect and awful to me in Counter-Strike. Like, it
was the worst and the best. You
right.
know? Like, it was awesome Counter-Strike, but dear God, can we like please,
I
for
can
the
just
1 million time that we've said this also, and along with everybody else, get rid of BO5s.
Like, I'm just sitting here, my wife, I can just feel the daggers coming from my wife looking at me as I'm still watching this game on my phone.
I was between phone, TV, computer, like, it's like wherever I told Kelly I'll go run some errands. She wanted me to go to the store, so I kept in my earphones and just kind of walked around with my phone out while I was grocery shopping and stuff. And I was like, this is how I'm having to watch this, because it's an 8-hour freaking game that I can't bear to turn off at this point.
I was able to watch all of the IndyCar race, all of the NASCAR race, and some of a hockey game by the time this match was even done. Like,
I got to watch all of Inferno, all of Mirage, and back and forth on Dust 2, because I couldn't find a way to not be in dad mode during that time.
It was, I mean, like I said, I'm sure someone do the math for me here real quick. Inferno, phase.
5 overtimes.
How many overtimes?
It was 5.
5 total? Right? Or just on Mirage?
Just on Mirage.
Just on Mirage. And then you had Inferno with overtime. It was only like the difference of like 8 or 9 maps too. So like, you win 3-0, but it was so close. So first off, Inferno. G2, this is where the jokes of, and honestly, this is where the choke joke comes into play, is all with Inferno. Like, yeah, you gave up the first map, but on Inferno, they had what? Like an
11-4 lead.
11-4 lead going into halftime on Inferno. They were starting the second half on Terrace, so on T side.
They were up 15-7, okay? They had map point for so long, not like 8 rounds, they had a chance for map point, which in Counter-Strike, you're dead in the water pretty much at that point,
I mean,
right? If it's 15-7, you got to think, Tim, would you say that's less than a 1% chance of a comeback?
It has to be, because
at that level,
especially because you're on T side. You're on T side, or yeah. No, am I thinking this right?
Well, CT side is, I mean, they should either way.
What was G2 on the second half?
Inferno is like fairly 50-50, so it's okay. They were on T side second half. So
yeah. So my point is you literally only have to win. I know it's a CT sided map, but the fact that like the economy and how it works on a CT is like you just have to get one round. Like, despite the fact that you're up 15-7, like, it's so easy to break their economy. Even if
your economy is always going to be decent.
Like, even if you lose the round and you just maybe get like 4 kills and make them burn their utility or something like that, like, that's almost as good as winning the round when it comes to the economy game. So even then, it's just kind of insane to have that type of comeback. But if you're FaZe, and this is what you always got to tell yourself, this is for all the kids looking to go pro, and you're down 15-7 and you're like, how the hell are we going to do this? Just remind yourself that they did it. It's not impossible to do because they just did it to you, right? How are we going to get 11 wins? Like how is that possible? Well, G2 just did it to you a half a map ago. So it's not impossible. Yeah, you got a little bit more pressure on you, but it's also G2. And G2 will pull a G2 on you at any given moment. And we finally, I mean, it's only February, but we got to see
you really saw the Jekyll and Hyde of G2 in this one
all the
series,
time.
right? Because on Inferno, they're playing with a huge lead and give it up. But then you go to Mirage, you're playing down 11-4, and you come back and tie it in the second half to take it into OT. So they literally did a role reversal from one map to the next, with both outcomes going against them ultimately. But that Inferno matchup, I mean, the additions to FaZe, I can't begin to explain how perfectly they're gelling together. And this is with the stand-in JKS, right? Rain is not even playing in the finals. And man, I'm telling you, they should like maybe even consider this as a permanent move.
Okay, hold on. Tinfoil hat time, Anuj. Everyone put on your tinfoil hats because we're going to talk conspiracy here.
Okay.
So FaZe's tournament, this is how it looked like for FaZe. First, you have JKS filling in for Rops.
Yep.
Because he was on visa and COVID protocol.
Yeah.
And there was even talks that like he would have to go home and then come back and be tested and all this mess, and pretty much like if he went home, it was game over for him playing at Katowice because like the timing and the testing and all that. So he took a risk, I think like stayed there and was okay. He was in the clear. And then and JKS was playing well at this point, right? Like he was showing up.
Yep.
And then just when Rops gets to come back in, JKS is on the bench thinking, what am I going to do? Boom. Rain gets sent out for COVID protocol, and JKS can go right back in and fill in for him.
So what do you think? JKS was walking around giving people COVID?
No, I think FaZe was giving people COVID at that point and said, we need JKS to play. Rain, did you cough earlier today? Gonna have to sit you out. Gonna
go get tested, bro.
Yeah, you look a little stuffy there, Rain. Can you sit out there for me? And JKS, get back in there.
That'd be hilarious, other than the fact Rain would probably kill to get a Katowice trophy under his belt.
He got one, right? That counts for him. He played a little bit.
Yes, his name's on it, but he wasn't in the finals.
I know, but let's not poo-poo on him. Hey, you know what?
I'm not. I'm just saying
the real
it's
winner.
Obviously a different feeling. Like Bubsky doesn't sit there and say that he's a 3-time world champion.
Oh, he does at the bars though. He does at the bars.
As he wears the jacket with the gold stars on it.
Oh yeah, I'm telling everyone at the bar.
But it's like JKS was absolutely.
I think the real winner in all this is a team that wasn't even at Katowice, and that's Complexity, because he is still on their roster, and like immediately, Jason Lake tweeted out, owner of Complexity, saying like, yeah guys, we're still looking to shop him around, so offers are open.
He tweeted almost more in response though, because everybody is like, Complexity needs to do something with them, and he's like, wait, we all like. I loved his response actually to it, because he's like, we're paying him his salary, we got him his visa, we've just had 0 offers for him, hoping that'll change after this event.
Because JKS wants to play in Europe. And
JKS wants to play in Europe, and Complexity
wants to move back to NA. So
is back in NA now, right?
Well, yeah,
their new roster, and so it's just JKS looked bad on Complexity, but that was because Complexity was bad, not because JKS was bad. Like that just was that team. Although in names looked good, never worked out, and so yeah, JKS's stock rose more than anybody in this event, and expect to see him on a team in the upcoming days, weeks, if not days. But incredible job by Kerrigan, having to manage different rosters or different lineups in an event. I think that's very difficult to do because people play different spots, and, moving things around during an event. Usually it's for a team that's struggling, not for a team that's playing ahead. Right. And so I thought it was a masterful performance by him, and a huge career achievement for him. Brokey and I'm going to get to G2 in a second. I'm just going to talk about FaZe first. Brokey is arguably the best player on this team with Rops and Twist both there. Brokey walks away with the MVP, highest rating throughout 16 maps. So many clutch, high IQ clutches during this tournament. It was kind of incredible. Like on Inferno, one comes to mind where he plants and literally plants on A site and literally does a full loop around to come kill the guy, like wraps all the way around from arch side and makes an amazing play. Player didn't suspect it at all. He was just so good, like so good, and happy that he's doing good. And look, Twist and Rops together, Tim, could this be potentially like the best duo out there? Like both are so mechanically gifted, and Rops, we saw a couple of aces in the most clutch times when they were down 15-14 on Inferno, and he comes up with one of the best clutches you'll probably see of the year. And remind me to put that in BDP after this, because I will forget, and that deserves to be in there.
I think Rops just in general,
so good,
like how he can fit in, like how you were saying. I mean, he fits in incredibly with the roster in general, right? But then to come midway through an event and fill in, I say he's filling in, but to come and take your roster spot back midway through the event and to play like that, like he was almost like he wasn't sitting out half the event to begin with. Look, I think he has to be feeling, I mean, just like almost like a new life has come up, because, let's be honest, like if looking at Rops, even his body language towards the end of his time with Mouse, it just looked like he was out of ideas. Like it's the same thing with Twist on Liquid, right? Like it just gets to this point where it's just, it feels like your team is just paddling in water, just trying to stay up for air. And when you're Twist or Rops, you're kind of being looked at as like, hey, you're supposed to be like our star guys. What's going on here? And for both of them to leave those teams to join FaZe, and I mean, even for Twist, right? To be on there, struggle.
Twist, I thought, left a little, like it felt earlier. Like Rops, everybody knew he needed to leave.
Yeah.
Right? Like it was just done at that point.
Rops was like long overdue.
Yeah, Twist, I was like, oh damn, like y'all just won the Grand Slam like not that long ago, and you're like piecing out right now. But it looks like he saw the writing on the wall.
Well, it's also when
his
Nitro
departure kind of caused,
Yeah.
But Nitro hadn't. Yeah, I mean,
there was so much going on behind the scenes with Liquid, I think, because it's like they were in
that's
NA,
the thing. Like
they went to
such
EU.
different scenarios as to like leaving, right? Like Twist was looked at like, oh my god, you're leaving NA for EU, like kind of became a villain a little bit in that sense. Where Rops, it was more, yeah, this is like badass, it needs to happen. Check out this stat in the finals, Tim. How crazy is this? Twist finished within the 3 maps played 97 and 82. Rops finished 96 and 82. Brokey finished 95 and 80. Your 3 stars showed up in the biggest event and all had, plus 15 KD differential. Of what more could you, I mean, what better start could this lineup have had, not to give everybody a lot of hope for what this roster can accomplish this year? Well, even with a really strong Na'Vi, right? Like we're giving Na'Vi the pass here, but like I feel like this team could compete with Na'Vi, even with Na'Vi at full strength.
Yeah, because I think what FaZe showed this past weekend is, they, like you said, I guess the only thing that they didn't do this weekend was play Na'Vi, to no fault of their own, but they did play them in the upper brackets, which they lost. So I guess, like you said, that is like the one thing that they need to do, is just to get that monkey off their back, is to beat Na'Vi. And then you would look at this team and say, okay, we are looking at right now, for what it's worth, I would almost put like Na'Vi, G2, and FaZe in the top 3. I don't know what order. Don't put me out. Don't put that pressure on me now.
The rankings came out today. If you didn't see them, Na'Vi came in at number 1. Gambit is holding at number 2. G2 moved up 2 spots to number 3. FaZe moved up 5 spots after their win to number 4. and then Vitality dropped 2 spots to number 5. I'm gonna say this right now. I think this is the top 5 for majority of the year, maybe depending
I
on how,
mean,
like I really think this could potentially be the top 5 the whole year.
that is a strong top 5. Like, I
Very
mean, even in like recent years past, when you think of it, like any of those teams could be number 1. I mean, seriously,
yeah,
any one of them. And that's why I think this win by FaZe was so impressive is we saw them have a major comeback, right? On Inferno. We saw them persevere through crazy ass overtimes with Mirage, right? Back and forth, back and forth. And then on Dust 2, they had a clean win at 16-14, which, as we've always said, at this point in a professional Counter-Strike life, Dust 2 is a toss-up. Like, I would say it's not really anyone's game. You know, like, you can't be like, oh, well, this team's really good on Dust 2, so you better watch out. It's Dust 2.
yeah,
Like,
no, like you're absolutely right. Like Inferno, they make the comeback. Mirage, they blow the lead and still win in 5 overtimes. And Dust 2 really was a 50-50 toss-up. That's how that whole map was
right.
played with 14-14 at
And
one point.
they are up against one of the best players in the world with Nico, and what is looking like, another simple Nico best player in the world in Monase, right? Too early to put him in that category, but damn.
But so like you're right. It's too early to say he's one of the best, but I'll tell you, it is easy to say that you can see what all the hype was about. You saw
The
that
kid's
very
insane.
clearly. Like he's 16 years old. He's got the reflexes of a cat. I mean, literally,
That
like
play on Mirage B site was you have to slow it down like 300% just to even see the flick of the op. Like he gets like the triple kill with the op.
I don't even understand. Like I don't even know what I would love to know his sensitivity and all that, because some of those flicks that he had, I'm like, wait, he moved his crosshair like that far to get that guy all of a sudden. Like I just don't even doesn't comprehend. And the only thing for G2 that needed to happen for them to take this series, and I know they lost 0-3, so it seems like a big discrepancy, is they just needed Nico to show up. That's all they needed in this best out of 3 was give us Nico at 90%, right? Nico had his moments in this finals. It wasn't all doom and gloom, but he faded on Inferno. On Mirage, the only reason that went to overtime is because he started picking it up in the second half. But I believe in the first 8 rounds, he was like 1-7 or something like that. So if he had just had an average start to the game, they could have taken a couple of those rounds early on and potentially won that. And then on Dust 2, he just unfortunately was like average. He wasn't terrible, but he was like average, and Hunter was really what kept them alive in this whole series. He played kind of role reversal with Nico there, where Hunter's kind of middle of the pack, but you just needed Nico to be Nico. And unfortunately, in the biggest moments, he's just faded. And this is not me being rude. These are just facts. He's just unfortunately faded, and he's done everything else that you could ask for a star player to do. He had a number 3 ranking in the world last year. He's carried this team in moments of turmoil. He's been a leader for this roster. But unfortunately, in the biggest of biggest moments, we've seen him fade. And until, like, obviously, I would want to say, yeah, Alexi B, you need to frag out more than you did in this finals. But that's not like really what we need Alexi B to do. We need him to take this well-oiled machine and put them in the right position. And I felt like they were. It's just Nico didn't do Nico things, and that's why they lost this series. I believe that G2, and so many times in that series, I thought to myself, they look like the better team. Like they look like the better team. They're playing so well, and you just have these moments where you need him to win that round for you, or not to be the first to die and leave your team down 5-4. And that happened like one too many times. And it's unfortunate because we know he's amazing. He truly is. But until he shows up in these finals, G2 is going to have a really tough time beating a FaZe, a Vitality, a Navi, like if he's not himself.
Yeah, and if you're a G2 fan, it's probably tough to hear that. But I mean, looking at the roster, it is tough to kind of point the finger. And like you said, Nico, apart from the finals, had an incredible event. He was on HLTV, he was G2's top-rated player for the overall event. But as Anuj stated, in the finals, very much average. And if you can't have Nico playing, even with Monase on the roster, playing absolutely insane, top fragging. He had like 45 kills in the overtime game and things like that. The crazy stats from him. But yeah, did you see the one picture where
Hunter had 57 in the overtime game, in the second overtime game? 57 kills. That's probably some players' kill count for the whole tournament, if not more in some cases. I'm not even joking.
You're probably not too far off. Not too far off at all. No, and you know, I think Nico, Nico I think is held under a lot of scrutiny, rightfully so, right? Because people are still thinking him of Nico maybe 3 years ago, where it was like him and Simple, like, you know, which one's number one, right? And then Zyru kind of came into the picture and I feel like knocked off Nico a little bit. But, you know, I saw that one picture on Reddit where it was like, you know, like the major when he just missed that D-Eagle shot. There was another one where it's like he just missed an op shot barely. Mm-hmm. So
the one on Cat, the guy walking across Cat.
Yeah.
I mean, you hate to see it, but those are the shots that like you can't afford to miss, and that he does not miss like 99% of the time. That 1% always just happens to come in like these, you know, in the biggest of moments. And so until we've seen that happen with greats in traditional sports and other esports, right? Like they have these moments of turmoil, they have these moments of collapses, and all it takes is like that one win for that monkey to get off of his back. And I feel like Nico's in that same position. Like he'll either get that major or, you know, take one of these events being the 100% the reason the team won, and you know, might just turn them on and get them going. But yeah, man, that's tough to see them lose again in this fashion. Like for G2 to get 3-0'd, should just be G3 by now. But like G2 to get 3-0'd, it's become a common theme in the G2 organization, unfortunately, for an org that I think we both really like. You know, I really like G2.
Yeah, they're starting to get the Buffalo Bills treatment, where people are making fun of you for losing the Super Bowl 4 times in a row. But it's like, yeah, but we still made it. Like, so it depends.
They're still one of the best.
Right. Like they're still like the 4th ranked in the world, but you're still just everyone's punching bags when it comes to jokes.
Trophy room is filled with number 2,
right?
You know, second place trophies, and that's gotta hurt. Right?
You know what? 5 years ago, Navi was in the same exact position. Navi was always the bridesmaid, never the bride, and now look at them, right? They made some roster moves, added key people in there, and were able to turn things around and have a pretty nice trophy case. So
this was Monase's first LAN.
He's unbelievable.
Event. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better performance from him, Tim, and he's only going to get better.
Again,
he is only going to get better.
What do we say? He is 16 years old. He's at his very first LAN event. Not just like a simple, well, it's a DreamHack Dallas, so it's a big LAN event for you. It's your first LAN. No. It's flippin' Katowice, like the major 2.0 sold out crowd in Poland, next to countries that are at war together. You're Russian, the country who is at war with the other country. No one likes you at the moment just because you're Russian, right? Not anything
by the way,
personal.
Everyone's waiting for you to play the Ukrainian guy named Simple, you know? So it's like that doesn't, and that was like before the war started. And so it's just like, yeah, a lot of pressure. And I say he 100% performed better than anyone could have expected. Everyone thought he would be good, but I don't think anyone saw this happening like this soon.
No, I sure didn't. I mean, I even said too on a couple episodes ago, like, let's wait till we see him in front of a crowd, because it's like, you're 16. There's no way you can hold the composure. But damn.
And now expectations are going to be through the roof. Like you're going to want to see those types of plays, and I think he'll live up to the hype. Like I really do. I don't see him just fading out and being another. Like,
no, I see him being like like Rops or Zywu, probably more like Zywu, where Zywu hit the scene and he just never looked back. You know, he was
and like being an opper and being elite is a special talent. You know, you ask NA. they can't find any. And so, I mean, it's a special talent, and this kid's got it. So amazing event. Like Tim mentioned earlier, breaking viewership records for a non-major. We had the hype of, I think teams for the most part really lived up to the hype outside of like Vitality having a really rough event. Um, Astralis kind of doing some Astralis things. Nip without device hurts obviously any chances they potentially had, but we did have an amazing playoffs, and I'm excited for the year of Counter-Strike ahead, Tim. I think a we're in a really, really good era of Counter-Strike right
Yeah,
now.
these top teams just don't make roster moves, right? Don't make any knee-jerk moves right now. Just
No.
play it out.
Live with the results, because you're not going to win every event right now.
And you're not
But
finding
as long as you're like competing and being in the top, you're in a good spot, because it's hard. It is really hard to break through this top 5. Like, this top 5 is elite.
for every one Monase, there's about 1,000
Almost Monase.
pick a bad player, right?
Yeah.
There's 1,000 nifties for every one Monase. So it's you can't constantly be making roster moves. Stick with what you got, see what happens, and go from there. Because right now, any of those top 5 teams, I think on any given Sunday, as they say, can win. So looking forward to it. Crazy stat where Monase tweeted out saying he's got so many X hours played now in Counter-Strike.
15,000 hours.
15,000 hours. Now, I don't know how much of that is play time and how much of that is AFK time, like waiting for scrims to start, but still, that's a shit ton of hours. And it comes out to be roughly 11% of his lifetime has been
Carlos tweeted that out. That's
with
pretty
Counter-Strike
crazy.
open on his computer. So you ever want to know how to get that good?
We play a lot, and we're at like 2,000-3,000 hours, So that's just an incredible.
Even looking back at it, when I was a semi-pro in Rainbow Six Vegas 1 and 2, Anuj, I played a lot. And that was also like peak high school, no responsibilities,
And you probably had like 1,000 to 2,000 hours.
Right. Like I felt like I played a lot, but I also know like I played basketball and hockey and things like that. So this kid, you think his parents are making him go to bed at 3 a.m. on a school night? Hell no. He is playing through school. But you know what? When you're a 16 pro, I guess all works out for you.
16 pro on one of the best orgs in the world. Yeah.
You can make it happen.
You're doing something right.
You can make it happen. So perfect. According to chat, by the way, he plays 2 sensitivity at 400 DPI.
Oh.
That's you, right?
Sensitivity is not as high as I thought, actually.
Aren't you? You're a 400 DPI guy, right?
Yeah, and I'm at like 2.
Okay, so I expect the same flicks from you then.
You do get the same flicks from me, Tim.
I'm a 600.
You get the
DPI
same
guy.
attempts. I try to make those.
Right. You get the flicks down. It's the results that are different.
I like to think of myself as a high IQ player.
Yeah.
Okay. Mechanically, unfortunately, just
it's not there anymore. But
the
IQ wise, I could be a pro, for sure. Actually, and you know what? Every once in a while, I rip out the 4v1 clutch plays as well. So if only we could put that together. We have the
if only that happened on the main stage academy.
Our issue, Anuj, is we are the exact opposite of Nico, where he is godlike, but then that one play looks like a scrub. We are scrubs that look godlike for that one play.
DreamHack Dallas is our academy team.
Right. So if G2 wants to sign us, maybe things will turn around, because when that one moment they need it, we can come through.
Round 27, find out if you can just sub us in.
Right.
For that one round, let us make.
Let me tell you what. If it is 15-7, okay. If this is IGL Tim communicating now, 15-7, and it's all of a sudden 15-12, and you're starting to hear the murmurs in the crowd, oh no, the comeback's happening, we're losing this, boys. I am 5 stacking B site every round. Just F it, we are 5 stacking B. They won't one time they're gonna have to go there, and we're gonna get them. Like,
we're gonna be ready.
just do it. Like, do something different at that point. Like, that would be my play.
15-7. I mean, that was just a turning point for the series, don't you think? I mean, although that they made the amazing comeback in the second match or second game, they still lost it. But that really felt like the turning point. Like Inferno set the tone.
Well, I think it
that
just gave
here
FaZe
we go
confidence,
again.
right? Like
Yeah.
at first it felt like they were shattered, but then when you make a comeback, you get your confidence back and
Just
then some.
like for G2 in particular, it must have just felt like, oh shit, like here it is. It's happening again. Like, how is this happening again? And so they got to find a way to get over that hurdle, but they have the team. Like, don't touch it. And just let this team ride out the year, and I think they'll have plenty of trophies under their belt.
Yeah, it's going to be good. Good 22 so far, looking like anyways for Counter-Strike. That is if Russia doesn't screw it up and tries to take over all the countries. So let's keep that at it. All right, let's get into some e-news, shall we? As we have a little bit to get through here. In CS, speaking of some post-Katowice benchings, Fnatic benched Smuya, or reported, and then Astralis is benching Lucky and picks up, is it Farlig? Is that how you say his name? From the Academy roster?
Team. And Fnatic benching Smuya seems weird too. I don't really understand the logic behind that. I thought he played pretty well outside of this last event for them, so felt like a knee-jerk move, and personally picked up I'd never heard of. So
Making room for JW.
bringing him back.
Bringing him back. There's that in Valorant. VCT EMEA, which is the European side, week 3, has been postponed. Obviously, with everything going on there, right decision. You know, I understand, like, Katowice said that we're playing through it. Obviously, they had, like, 1 weekend to get through, not, like, an entire thing.
Like,
and
nobody understands the format anyway, so it doesn't matter to postpone it.
Right.
You know, like, nobody's sitting there being like, oh, shit, we just lost VCT week 3. Yeah, like, nobody fucking knows what's going on in Valorant. Like, not the pro scene in general, it's just the formatting of these events is all over the place, so...
Mixwell is back on G2's starting roster. He was benched for a hot minute, but he is back, so good to see that. Call of Duty Vanguard finally has their ranked play, so for those 10 of you who are still playing multiplayer in Call of Duty, congratulations. In FPS...
I did see that they were planning on skipping a year. Did you see that?
Oh, yes, yeah. So
next year, they're going to have the new... It should be the new Modern Warfare.
Why don't we move that mic a little closer? Your mic's dripping a little.
Next year, they
Perfect.
said that it should be the Modern Warfare remake or whatever, new Modern Warfare style game. And then they plan on making that the game for 2 years before making a release. So I think that is a awesome decision, and I'm really happy that they're releasing at least one more game before they made that decision. Like, it would have really sucked if they said, hey, we're going to play Vanguard this year and next.
So we have the game coming out in October, November, whenever, and then 2023 will not have one, and then a new one in 2024. So hopefully it's an actual completed game, and we don't wait 90% into the game's lifespan to get ranked in half the things that we actually like to play. So we'll see. Maybe we get back into Call of Duty. I do love Call of Duty multiplayer because it's such a fun, quote unquote, casual experience to play on. But, you know, we'll see. In other FPS news, we actually reported it here first on the show 2 weeks ago, but Formal officially joins Optic Halo. So no surprise to us and our listeners. As we said, that was pretty much writing on the wall, and it made all the sense in the world. Speaking of Optic Halo, their skin was officially released, so no longer can you get the Envy skin. Much like everything else, Envy is dead, long live Optic. So, Anuj, you can get that Optic skin in game now.
Looks good. If I was still playing,
I don't mind it. You know, I thought it looked good. I like the green underwear look that it has, but you know, it looks good. Master Chief, this is almost a yikes, but it's even worse than a yikes. This is like someone should be arrested for this decision. But it's been announced that in the Paramount Plus series for Halo, that Master Chief will be unmasked.
I'm confused which one the yikes is, the Paramount Plus or the Unmasked?
Like, you're not a Halo fanboy, Anuj, so you don't understand this,
No,
but
I know.
like
The Mandalorian took his mask off. Master Chief can take his mask off.
No. Master Chief could whoop up the Mandalorian's ass. That's because in any given moment, Star Wars makes those guys look like a bunch of babies. But I digress. Master Chief, like, I don't want to see his face. Like, they've described it in the book, so you kind of get an idea from it. But it's like, don't show me Master Chief's. The thing is with Paramount Plus, I've been hearing more and more about it. I'm going to watch it because it's Halo. But it definitely seems like they're doing their own thing with it. And it's like, guys, you got the groundwork laid out for you.
Like, you literally have the story written.
Like, why are we trying to like reinvent the wheel here? It's just do what everyone wants.
Really hoping Paramount Plus has a like free 7-day trial or something.
They have.
I'll wait till the series is over
And then just
get
binge
the
watch.
trial, binge watch it.
That's the way to
call
do
a
it.
day.
That's the way to do it. TSM wins the Rainbow Six Invitational. Speaking of Invitational, it was reported last time that the next one will be held in Saudi Arabia. A lot of backlash, a lot of protests going on about that, Anuj. Well, credit to Ubisoft. We joked about it, but they got right on it and announced that they are relocating it. They don't know where yet, but they are relocating it. So I think early reports are Moscow. So maybe... That's a joke. Boy, wouldn't that have been funny though if they were like prior to this being like, guys, let's do it in
they
Russia.
announced Moscow 3 weeks ago.
The war.
Like, oh, God,
oh
here we
man, Ubisoft would be like, oh, come on, guys, come on. Like, what do we do here? No, so credit to Ubisoft. Credit and not credit, right? Like, good on you for listening and making a quick decision to relocate. But
dumb decision to begin with.
yeah, at the same time, like, I don't understand why esports just keeps trying to shove its way into Saudi Arabia. I get it because of money, but then acting surprised when people are upset about it. Like,
Well, like, considering half your talent is part of the LGBT community, or outwardly, part of that community, it's like, probably should have seen some heat coming with this decision.
like gaming in general is just a very open community in that regard. So yes, to go to a place that's very not open about it, government-wise, people, like we said, don't judge the people for the government, but I don't, whatever. I guess they made the right decision in the end. League of Legends, I know something happened with the Cloud9 coaching staff. Next week, maybe we'll get Kevin on to discuss it. I don't know enough about it to be upset. I know some people are upset. To me, it's just sounded like a coaching change,
I saw a lot of tweets about it. I saw, once again, Carlos will come up in the show, but I saw owner G2, made some comments about it. And I don't know enough because I didn't really care to deep dive into what was going on, but it seemed like a big deal. So if you're interested, go check it out. Otherwise,
we'll have Kevin on at some point and talk about it. In FGC news, Street Fighter 6 is finally announced at the Capcom Cup Finals. Mixed boat of reactions, mainly because it's only teaser, so they didn't give out a whole lot of details. But the logo looks like it was made on Fiverr. No knock on all of our artists who work on Fiverr, but it looks very generic.
It looked like it was made on Fiverr by one of the $5.
Yeah, like
selection.
It looks very generic. Like, it just looks very cheaply made. Especially because Street Fighter has like an iconic logo that's literally been used since like the dawn of Street Fighter. So to mix it up for 6, people are.
I think to get the real logo, it's part of an expansion pack.
In the first fighter pack,
Yeah,
boy,
first fighter pack.
You're probably not even joking. Knowing fighting games, and also like they showed Ryu and stuff like that, and it's like he looked a little bloated. Like, it was weird. They gave him shoes, like slippers, sandals, like it just people like it wasn't the vibe people were feeling. So I'm curious to see where they go with it. Look, we'll talk about it maybe next week if nothing's going on. I want to talk about FGC's place in esports with you, Anuj. Maybe we can get someone on the show, have an honest conversation about it, because I feel like the direction that gaming is going and esports is going, FGC is going to go the way of the RTS, but not for the same reasons. But I just think it's going to go by the wayside to be such a tiny community that we just forget about it.
Yeah, we can talk about it next week.
Yeah, we'll talk about it here maybe next week. Get someone on, to talk with us, or who knows. But I do want to have the conversation because I feel like their current model just isn't going to work. So hopefully they're figuring something out with Street Fighter 6. So especially with Riot coming out with their free-to-play one, you can't constantly be asking people to pay $60 for a fighter pass on top of a $60 game. So we'll discuss that more. In other news, StarCraft's de facto world championship will be played by 2 non-Koreans for the first time ever.
That's crazy to me.
So Korean
It's crazy
officially
that's the first
slipping
time
up.
ever that that's happened, but yeah.
They're slipping up. It's finally NA is on the rise. In Pokemon news, it was Pokemon Day, I believe yesterday was the official Pokemon Day. Well, it was announced that new game coming out, Scarlet and Violet. So 2 new games, but you know, Pokemon does it. That will release later this year. So, you know, if you're a Pokemon fan, cool beans. I bought the other Pokemon game, Legends of Arceus or whatever it's called. It's good. It's such a weird. I have such mixed feelings about the game. Like, if you're
are you like actively playing it?
Yeah, I still am. Like, I brought it to Colorado and I played it. If you're a Pokemon fan, it is a good game. Like, in the sense of like it will keep you entertained. From like anyone though who's critically thinking, is this a good game? Or if you're not a Pokemon fan, it's like worth maybe $20.
Yeah.
Because it's just such, the open world aspect feels so dead in the game. And so I don't know. I bought it because I saw people playing it and I had FOMO, so I bought it. These, I'll probably, let's be honest, the same thing will happen, and I'll hate myself for doing it, and I'll play it because it's Pokemon, and I'll tell myself I enjoy it when secretly I'm not. But we'll see. And Anuj. It has been announced that they are in development, but you will be able to play an RPG and an MMO. I guess they're 2 separate games of Last Airbender. So
High hopes for the RPG, low hopes for the MMO.
yeah, MMO
will probably feel like some free to play.
Did you ever watch
mobile game.
Last Airbender?
No.
I haven't either. And you know what's weird? It was like kind of in the wheelhouse of where like
Of things I would generally watch.
Oh, right, especially growing up. And oddly enough, my wife does not watch any sort of anime. And I know some people will tell you Last Airbender is not an anime, but in terms of what my wife considers an anime, it is. And she doesn't watch any of that crap. And yet, she watched Last Airbender.
That's weird.
And it's like, I don't know why. She's like, oh, I love that show. She's like, you need to watch because it's on Netflix. And she's like, we should watch it sometime. I'm like,
what?
Like,
where is this coming from?
Right, like you call me a virgin despite the fact that we have 2 kids together because I watch Cowboy Bebop, and yet you watch Last Airbender.
Yeah, I mean, like maybe the RPG I could see being good because it seems like a game to fit that genre.
Right.
MMO, I don't have any faith in new MMOs in general, let alone.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's not the Last Airbender part. It's the MMO part that I have questions with. So perfect. Well, there you have it. Episode 374. Yeah, episode 374. It's done. It's in the books. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. If you're in the chat, thanks for stopping by. We will be back next Monday, talking some more esports goodness, maybe some FGC talk, maybe have a guest. CDL Major 1 is this weekend in Arlington. I will be in attendance, most likely on Saturday. Kids and family schedules pending. Anuj will not be there because of those kids and family schedules. So that's just the life of a gamer dad. If you're there, hit us up. Like I said, I'll be there probably Saturday for a little bit. I don't know if I'll be able to make it on Sunday, but Saturday for sure. So excited to see some live esports for the first time in what feels like forever. We'll be in our... Oh, go ahead.
It really does feel like forever.
I mean, yeah, I think it's our first since... Man, BlizzCon, maybe 2019. Now that I think about it. So yeah, it's crazy. We'll be there Saturday. Follow us on Twitter @TheCentering. Join the Discord. Be a part of the conversation. We stream games throughout the week, so follow us on YouTube or Twitch. And catch us when we're live. Pretty much dicking around on Lost Ark at the moment, but we're always down to talk or play anything else with you guys for sure.
We've had a handful of listeners join our server and our guild, and we still have some available room in there. So if you are playing the game and want to Create a character on Azena US East. Come and join us. We've been playing a lot, so down to enjoy with anybody.
There you go. So there you have it. Again, thank you everyone for listening. For Anuj, I'm Tim. Love you. Goodbye. See ya. All right. Let me save this.
I have not had a chance to eat yet, so I'm gonna go eat real quick. I'm starving. Went straight from work to dog school to Hudson sleep to here. I don't think I'm gonna get back on.
If I'm on, I'll probably be on my laptop. I don't. You know what? Morgan
Yeah.
might be asleep, so we'll see. Might be some time for me to catch up on TV.
If Kelly is passed out, I'll come back here and
All right.
probably play for a little bit.
Well, just let me know. If I might be on my laptop. If you get back on, I'll hop back on here. Apex
Okay.
Legend Mobile soft launch got delayed to next week, Wolf. I didn't know it was supposed to come out this week. That's one thing I could just
kind of
never-
curious to see that game on mobile. I bet that would play pretty decent.
You know, I don't get, and I'll let you go here, but you know, people keep complaining that Lost Ark looks like a mobile game. You know?
The sailing definitely does.
Oh, yeah. But I'm like, I feel like that's like not as big of a diss anymore, considering most mobile games are ports from PC games now. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
Fortnite's on mobile, Call of Duty's on mobile. Like, what are you talking about? This looks like a mobile game. Like, it's not the same diss as it once meant.
I only will refer to that from a graphical standpoint in certain games now, for the most part.
Yeah. Or like menu
Lost
wise.
Ark, when you're sailing on the seas, like it's a little underwhelming, right? Like comparing it to, obviously like a game like Sea of Thieves, or I'm trying to think of the fucking game that
I was
need more
expecting
for.
a little more when it came to like they were like, oh yeah, sail the seas.
Arcade on the seas was awesome too. You know, like the sailing in here, you're literally just like sailing on a map,
clicking on a map. Yeah, it's not very interactive, but
I'm sure anytime there's any sort of delay, people are up in arms, but I'm sure there's a reason. And in this case, 1 week, like, okay,
1
what did you
week.
take time off to play?
1
like,
week is hardly a delay. Yeah, right. I
it's
took
like-
off work to play Apex Mobile. Like, buddy, that's on you. Like, that is on you. All right, cool. Well, I'm gonna end the stream. Anuj, go get food, and we'll talk to everyone in Discord or later this week on a stream. Peace out.
See you, Noman. See you guys. See you, Canada.